Yetta, we just need to keep the heat lower. Our gas bill is crazy.
Do you hear me shaking my head? There is no way we're going to do that because I don't like being cold.
Moving forward with the Decker team. Moving forward together with the Decker team.
Excited that we've been able to create for you free access to over 587 Life's Inside Track episodes where we share insider tips, insight information about real estate, as well as how to make the most out of your home. And this show is in particularly interesting around that because we're talking about net zero homes. And the great news is you can get access to them from home, from the office, or on the go. So if you haven't got our YouTube channel yet and not subscribing, you're missing out. And on this one, you'll be able to also go to Steve and Kevin's YouTube channel to check it out, which is pretty incredible. So what we're going to explore this time is why. If I'm thinking of making a move, why would I want to potentially move to a home that's either net zero or net zero ready? Why not just get a conventional house like everyone else?
Yeah, especially if you're thinking, I want to buy a new build home. Because a lot of people love the sense of moving into a brand new home. So what makes a net zero ready home a better home? Not just energy efficiency, but what makes it better?
Well, I think one of the easiest ways to answer that question is we ask people, have you ever been in a car with heated seats? And sometimes they'll say yes. And then we ask, have you ever been in a car with a heated steering wheel? And if they have, and they say yes to that one, we often say, well, that's kind of what a new home experience could be like. It's a different quality of life. It's just a better driving experience in the car. And in the home, it's a better living experience because the air is fresher. The houses last longer. They're more durable. But it's that quality of life that with these triple pane windows, you can sit beside a beautiful, large outdoor window. And because of the triple pane, it's double insulated. And because of the low solar heat gain coefficient in the window, you don't feel drafts. And to sit next to a window in the summer and not feel the heat, or sit next to a window and look outside and enjoy the beautiful natural atmosphere of outdoors, it's just fabulous. And there's so many subtle little things like that that add to the customer experience of it being a better quality of life.
Is the air fresher in the house? Is that part of the, because when you're saying like it's better quality of life, I want to know, what are the real goods? Like, what is it?
Well, I'll let Kevin take that one.
Well, yeah, you're right. How often do you want to breathe fresh air?
Right, exactly.
Continuously, all the time.
Yeah.
And that is one of the specifications. That's one of the benefits of a net zero home, is because all of a sudden you're controlling your environment. You're controlling the air quality in the home rather than having air coming in and out of holes in your house that you don't even know exist.
Right.
And so that is one of the best benefits, I think, for any of us. And the proof of this, it's shown even for people that are sensitive with allergies or other things, that they find it's just better quality of air. It's better living because we control the environment and we're continuously providing high quality fresh air.
That's fantastic.
Now, I noticed you have a different kind of ducting system from the normal, if you have forced air, you've got this big return duct and a big duct that sends air to different parts of the room and registers on the floor, usually in front of the window, to try and keep the moisture off the window and keep them clear. But you have a different style of ducting system.
We do, and it's called smart ducting. And the idea behind this smart features in the home, that's one of them, because the air ducts in our homes are up high, and they use the ceiling sort of as a plenum in the furnace to blow and circulate that air throughout the home. So it's one of these things that instead of sitting in front of a window and you feel the furnace come on and just this wash of warm air or cold air in the summertime if the air conditioner is on, it's just subtle. It's in the background and you don't even notice it. So along with the treated air being up to 2 or 3 times more pure than the outdoor air and fresher, and that's why many of the people who move into these homes, their allergies disappear and their asthma disappears. So the smart ducting system just makes it so that it's in the background and you don't even notice.
So I think what I'm hearing you say is a quieter house. There's a lot less white noise or gray noise or whatever we call that stuff in the background that's going in. Because I know if we sit in our tranquility room and we just sit there quiet in the mornings while we're praying and spending time with the Lord, as that's happening, if we're both really quiet and think we're listening to God, all of a sudden I can hear my house.
Agreed, Yetta. And that's one of the things that, because the homes have 0.05 or 0.5 air changes per hour, it's about the size of a building or a letter.
An envelope.
An envelope.
Right.
And the average person is living in a home where the amount of air seeping into the home is about the size of a front door. And that's remarkable. That's where all the noise comes in. Whereas our homes also have a thermal blanket around them with styrofoam insulation on the outside. So that deadens the noise. The triple panes deaden the noise. So one of our homeowners who works with us Thursday and Friday, Mona the Brave, I call her, she says the only time she ever hears the construction noise going on around her is when she opens the door. Because otherwise she's like, oh, yeah, like she doesn't notice that noise.
And that's really, I love that thought, because we often will discourage, and our clients don't want to live in a site where there's still construction going on, because it doesn't matter whether the windows are closed or not, whether their doors closed or not, they're living in a construction site audibly the whole time until that construction's done. If it's a 3-year project, a 3-year build, or a 4-year to finish out the community, that's what they're living in. So you're saying, as long as I'm not hanging out on my front lawn, because then I'm still going to hear the construction crew, right? But if I'm in my home enjoying the quiet and the peace, and I'm having a gathering or I'm spending time quiet, I'm going to actually be able to do that.
Yeah.
Remarkable and true.
Right? Remarkable and true. Yeah.
It's quite different. Until you've experienced it, it's not something you would expect.
No, because the norm is the norm.
The norm is the norm. We're used to living in houses that have, in many cases, double pane. We were talking about this earlier, double pane windows, and there's a lot of air leaks. And it's when you build a better structure and you seal it properly and you're providing fresh air all the time, you get all these other benefits like noise proof.
So like, my basement's always cool. Most houses I go into, they're a lot cooler than I'd like them to be. Sometimes they feel damp. Sometimes they feel cool. Sometimes musty. I've got a beautiful theater room in my basement, and every chair has a blanket on it because I can never keep my basement as warm as the rest of the house. How does your design handle that?
It does, because one of the things we learned about in building these net zero ready homes is to insulate under the slab. So we have R12 resistance to heat loss, a factor of 12. So when we go down into our lower level living areas, we don't call them basements, we call them lower level living areas, because they have massive big windows to allow natural light into the living area. But also the fact that under slab insulation that goes up the walls as well, the spray foam, and then into the leakiest place for a builder, into the floor joist cavity. Our walls and our lower level living areas are just so different. In fact, I took Kevin into a fellow builder's home recently, and we went downstairs, and that's the one thing we noticed is the heat loss, because below grade, it's, less than 10 degrees centigrade. And the heat is being lost from our feet when we walked into that lower level. It was so cold. We couldn't stand being in the lower level. We immediately ran upstairs. You don't experience that in our homes.
Awesome. So that's a great side benefit. So
Yeah. So really what we're talking about is when you look at the heat, it's not just about heat loss. It's also about you don't need as much heat to heat the house. It's interesting because you're talking about savings and energy conservation from an environment perspective in two different ways. Is that what I'm hearing?
That's exactly right. The amount of heat that is lost is reduced dramatically because you're controlling the air and you're controlling the heat loss through your windows and your walls. And it's more comfortable because you don't get that stratification. I live in a 2-story house. and it's a lot. You can notice the temperature difference top to bottom unless you do a lot of things to try and get more air upstairs or less air to the basement and all that sort of thing. And that's one of the big differences with the energy efficiency and the continuous distribution of this conditioned air. You have consistent temperatures in the basement, consistent temperatures in the main level, and if you have a loft or a 2-story upstairs as well. So that's one of the really nice things about it, that you get the cost savings and you get just a more usable home in all levels.
Okay. Well, that's great. So I heard it once. We do not inherit the earth. We actually steward it for our children. And thanks for growing alongside of us, because we're passionate about all of us being positioned for generational legacy.
Moving forward with the Decker team. Moving forward.